everybody. Thank you, Evangeline. Today I'm going to be talking about how the government should be involved in gender equity. My first source talks about how equal pay exists per dollar. So men and women having the same jobs, exact same jobs, receive the same amount of money for what they are working on. But this opportunity for women to get the jobs the same as men does not exist. So you can see that there's a 33% here. So there's 50% of the possible workforce or the population is women and men, 50% each, but only 33% of the workforce is women. So this shows that men and women are clearly not hired equally. This also talks about how if the private sector isn't going to help, the public sector must, because the private sector is going to make decisions economically rather than politically per se, with a decision having to do with gender. The private sector is going to make their decisions because economically. So they're going to choose a person based off of what's going to help them the most and what they're going to have to pay the least to have. So they're not going to make the decisions off that, so the public sector has to. The jobs are based off the market, not previous jobs. This source talks about that the jobs are based off of the entire market, what people are hiring at for this specific job, not what this person had at their previous job. So if women never get the opportunity to be in the market, they don't really have this, they're stuck in this vicious cycle of not being able to get into the market, so they can't be hired based off the market. The credibility of my source is from The Atlantic, which is a major news organization, so it has a good reputation. They have a slight ability to observe. They're a huge organization, which means they have ability to get this information if they want, but they don't have a direct path to get to this information like an expert or a specific group would. They do have a vested interest, as they have many articles about gender equity that I've read into. This could either be seen as positive or negative. It could create bias, or it could show that they've studied this specific issue and they're presenting fact. In this specific instance, the source is presenting fact, not as much as an opinion piece. So I would say it's pretty neutral. And the expertise of it, the people who wrote it were journalists. So they clearly study the information, but they're not clear-cut experts. My next source was talking about different types of taxations that could be put into place to eliminate this kind of inequality. So one is, you're starting to see it more today in today's society, is that men get paid for paternity leave rather than it always being women for maternity leave. So this allows for women to not have to take on the childcare role as much, and allows for more equal stuff. Eliminate unpaid care. So of course, now men or women with the paternity leave can leave to take care of their child. Everyone has children, not everyone, but it's a part of society to have children. So you have to eliminate employers who are not paying their workers to leave to take care of their children. That allows for women to work in these jobs more because they don't have to leave and get fired for it. There's also an example of this is in Canada, where they implemented a second earner tax, which basically, if you have two people in one house earning money and income, then you get an extra discount on your taxes, which is an incentive to have women working. This 5% is also an example in the Philippines, which they've designated 5% of all tax income to go into foundations for women and things like that to help women get jobs and opportunities. The credibility of this source is that they do have a good reputation. They're a huge foundation pushing for women's rights. This is from McKinsey Foundation. They do have the ability to observe slightly the same way as The Atlantic does, as they're a huge organization, but they don't have a straight path. They don't have experts. They don't have specific experts. They do have a vested interest, very much so, their organizations mainly about women and other types of issues. So they're going to have a vested interest, whether that's positive or negative, again, is up to interpretation. They are experts on the field of women equality, but they aren't, like the writers themselves aren't. It's the big group is. And I would say that they are not neutral, as all of their information is pushing for women's rights. In conclusion, men and women everywhere need jobs. Everyone works. There's equal men and equal women. So utilization of the workforce is vital to the economy. The economy grows from people working. So there's possible programs to be put in place to help the utilization of the workforce, and especially for women. Or this change could just happen naturally, trusting the people to hire who's best for the position and paying these people equally.